Hello, my name is Peter Ojong. I'm a board certified family nurse practitioner, currently a student at Ojong State University School of Nursing. And this presentation is about the Kantian theory. It's related to the course Theoretical Foundation and Ethical Issues. The lecturer for the course is Dr. Lacey Blessing. Now let's talk about the man behind the philosophical framework. He is Immanuel Kant, German in nationality, lived in the period 1724 to 1804. His framework is related to deontology and also known as Kantianism or the Kantian ethical theory. Now let's talk about the Kantian theory. There are several formulations of this theory, and today we are going to be talking about two of them. The first formulation goes as follows. Act only on that maxim through which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. Now, this was translated from German and was translated into the King version of the English language back in the day in the late 1700s and early 1800s. Let's look at two key concepts within this statement. The first one is maxim. The maxim is the reason for your action. The second concept is the universality of your action. That means everybody else can do that action. And he is saying that the reason for your action should be such that when everybody else is doing that action, there should not be a problem with the action. Let us consider the fact that somebody who is hungry can go into a grocery store because they don't have any money, get some food, walk out of the store without paying. Immanuel Kant is saying that the reason for that action is theft. You decided to go into the store, get some food, steal that food, whether we like it or not, was stealing, theft, and then you leave without paying. Immanuel Kant is saying that the reason of that action is very important. And if it's okay with you, it should be such that everybody else should be able to steal, and that should not be a problem. He puts a lot of emphasis on universality and reason. He is saying that every action that we do must be based on a specific reason, which brings about the concept of duty. And he says, nothing could determine the will except the law and subjectively pure respect for that practical law. So the reason only determines the rightness or wrongness of your actions. It doesn't matter whether you were hungry. The reason is that you decided to go and steal. No matter the outcome, you stole some food from the store, and the consequences should be determined by that reason. This brings forth a concept which also known as the categorical imperative, which he differentiates from hypothetical imperative. He is saying the categorical imperative is something that you have to do. Something that you have to do, you don't have a choice. And Kant is saying your actions should be based categorically on the things that you have to do. He contrasts this with hypothetical imperative, which are things that you ought to do. So, for example, if you want to be a good father, you have to choose to become a father, and you have to choose to become good. You don't have to become a father. This is contrasted to actions that you have to do, which he calls categorical. And the imperative here is the framework through which you make that decision. Let's also consider two best friends, John and Jessica. They have been best friends, they're in the same class, and they have their final examination. John decides that he is not going to cheat during this exam because it's the wrong thing to do. Jessica decides she is not going to cheat in this final examination because her father is a pastor, and if she is caught cheating, that will bring shame upon their family. According to Immanuel Kant, John is the person to be praised in this situation, while Jessica should be shamed in this situation, because John respected the pure intent of his action, the reason of the action, while Jessica decided to obey, not to cheat, because of the consequence of her action. The second formulation of the Kantian theory goes as follows. Act so that you treat humanity, whether it be in your own person or in that of another, always as an end and never as a mere means. To understand the concept of end and means, we are going to go back to an example which I found on Crash Course online on YouTube. It says we should treat people with dignity while respecting their autonomy. So consider that you are in need of money to buy a PlayStation. You go to your best friend and you lie to them that you are sick. You need some money to go to the hospital. You just took away their autonomy, their ability to decide based on all the facts whether they wanted to give you that money or not. You got the money by deception. Therefore, you did not respect them as an end. You did not respect them as a moral agent. You used them as a mere means. Now, make no mistake, we use people all the time. Consider another example. We, as students of Ojong State University School of Nursing, we pay our tuition, and the lecturer, such as Dr. Lacey Blessed, who is a lecturer in this course, accepts to be part of the transaction to give us knowledge. She makes money to pay for her bills. We pay money to get knowledge. In this case, we are using her as a means to get knowledge, and she is using us as a means to make a living. We are not using her as a mere means, and she is not using us as a mere means. We are consenting adults based on all of the facts in honesty that we want to be part of the transaction. Therefore, we respect her autonomy just as she respects our autonomy. In this case, we are moral agents. We are able to make our own decision and to set our own goals. A moral agent is a person who has motives and reason for acting, and the motive that they have should be determined by a pure and good will. So far, we have looked at the two most popular formulations of the Kantian theory. And through these two formulations, we have gone through a number of concepts. We have gone through maxim, universality of our actions, the need for duty. We have gone through autonomy, and mere means, categorical and hypothetical imperatives. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the Kantian theory? One of the advantages of the Kantian theory is that it is based on reason, which means that it is applicable to everybody, which means that it can be fair and just. It is void of feelings. By that I mean that it doesn't matter whether you like or hate a person. It doesn't matter whether you like or hate a situation. You can walk through an action simply by reason and come to a just and fair conclusion on the rightness and wrongness of an action, which thereby determines the consequence of that action. The second advantage is that it promotes the notion of intrinsic worth in humans. It beats down on the notion about exploiting other human beings for our personal goals. The third advantage is that it is an important aspect of human existence by the concept of duty. It says that we are responsible for our actions, and because of that responsibility, we are also accountable for our actions. In a world like the capitalistic world we have today, where everybody says that the end justifies the means, Immanuel Kant is saying no, the end just does not justify the means justifies the end. On the converse side to the slide we just looked at are the disadvantages of the Kantian theory. Now let's look at the first one. Reason leads to morality, but there is no official basis of what is reasonable. By that I mean that he did not display or explain what the basis for reasonable is. There is no morality. In fact, he said that you can come to a just and fair conclusion without God. Now, if there is no morality, how do you determine what is reasonable? The fact that many people can come to a specific reason or a specific goal does not make their action reasonable. The next disadvantage is that there is no resolution for those who are incapable of reason. We have many people in the community who are uneducated or not philosophical, and therefore the way that they process information may not be the same as those that have academic backgrounds or philosophical backgrounds. The other disadvantage is that there may be situations where there are conflicting duties, and he did not explain how to approach those situations. The next is that he did not address the fact that humans also have an emotional aspect to their existence. He puts too much focus on reason, not on emotions, and there is no meeting point between our emotions and the reason for our actions. For a summary, the Kantian theory is a good basis for equity and justice through moral actions because it puts our focus on the reason why we do things, which can result into fair and equitable outcomes. However, it seems to function and puts too much emphasis on absolutes, only on the reason of our action, void of relationships and other emotional connections we may have to that situation. It seems to void us of our humanity and spirituality, which I talked about our emotions. And on this page, we have the references